You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 114, and it is a Friday episode. We're glad you can join us before the weekend. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. And with me as usual, Hyung's back of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess. All right, guys, off the top, we just saw the release of one of our favorite baseball card sets, which is, of course, Topps Series 1. If you want a good in-depth breakdown of the set and the odds of getting a hit, check out our hobby friend Scotty B Card's YouTube page. He does a really good job, a thorough job at that, as we expect. But for us today, just want to get your first impressions of 2023 Topps Series 1. You know, the design, maybe some of the new insert sets. So do you like what you've seen so far of the Topps Series 1 this year?
I'm always excited when there's a big release like Series 1 or Topps Chrome or any flagship product. Especially like you mentioned Scotty B. He does a phenomenal job with the breakdown of kind of like the rookie classes in terms of ranking them. So it's the good thing is like he mentioned, it's a super strong rookie class in my opinion. Or at least I wouldn't say it's like a crazy top end heavy. There are like big names like Michael Harris and Gunnar Henderson, Adley. You got Tristan Cassis, Brett Beatty. So there's a huge, I guess, demand for those rookies because they were big Bowman Chrome chases, right? So seeing all those guys kind of come up now, and these guys are pretty much impact players, and I think you get guys like Riley Green too on the he didn't have a great season, but his upside is huge too. So
sure.
I think in terms of a rookie class, I think there's a bunch of guys that are solid players, like potential stars, right? So it's a matter of unfolding, and as we know, not everybody's going to pan out a superstar, but the chase is always fun, and I don't mind the design. Like I was pretty disappointed, to be honest, in the last few years with Topps, and I've voiced my opinion multiple times on that. So it looks like it's a better step with Series 1 in 2023. So I'm excited. I haven't ripped any, which is a sign that I should be, and stop talking about it. You got to rip. We talked to Will, in our group saying when is our rip party, right? So
yeah,
I can't say anything, solid about it, because obviously it's going to be biased depending on what we rip. And I always see those posts online. It's like, one guy goes, "Oh, Topps Series 1 is garbage." It's like you can tell what type of box he got. It's like I think yours a little biased, biased opinion. You probably didn't hit anything, right? So. Exactly. It's always that's the case. Depending on what you hit, you judge it by that. I guess there's the experience too, right? But coming from a big 2022 Topps update, that was an awesome class with Julio and Wander and Spencer Torkelson and stuff like that. So it's good to see that it's kind of continued on with Series 1. So yeah, I'm happy. It's good for the hobby. It's good for baseball. Hopefully they all have strong ears that make the hobby strong.
Just quickly, Hyung, like name 2 or 3 rookies that you think are, if you get them, you'll be psyched to get that.
I'm in the class. I guess the big guys that I would be kind of chasing, I would be happy with probably Gunnar Henderson, because a lot of people are after Gunnar Henderson. He's a big time. Yeah. Tier 1 type prospect, right? And Michael Harris had a huge year. I'm not huge on him. His prices are pretty high in general, but he had a phenomenal first year. So those probably, and then Adley Rutschman is probably another big chase for a lot of guys. So I'm going after guys that kind of like have the hype, because that's what retains prices. I'm not going with like the sneaky picks. Oh, what if like Oscar Gonzalez goes off? It's like, I don't know if there's enough hype to surround kind of like price points there, especially what we've seen in the past from release. There's a lot of hype. Look at Wander Franco, a year ago in Top Series 1 and how that panned out, right? So you got to be careful with the hype, but at the same time, that's part of the hobby chase that everybody loves.
Yeah, for sure. John?
Yeah, I think we talked about Series 1 when the first images leaked. I liked it. I like the retro style of going to the little portrait in the bottom end of the card. I think they look great, man. It's especially like Hyung was mentioning, the last 1 or 2 years, I think the graphics and the look of the card, they got a bit lazy. They kind of just almost like Panini Prism, just went year over year, the same sort of very similar look. So I mean, they did keep the borders, which is a classic look, and then they have the little image on the bottom. So I personally like it. I haven't watched any breaks. I don't know what inserts are in there, so beyond that, I can't really speak to it. But I mean, this is flagship paper. It makes everybody excited. I do wish. I think the pricing is probably the same as last year, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like Hobby Box is just over 100 for Canadian, so under 100 in the US, and the jumbo is probably a little bit probably double, like 220, 225.
Right.
Yeah.
I do wish the prices were like a tad cheaper, because I think Series 1 is one of those boxes that you'd hope that kids would want to rip, or you'd want to rip it with your kids or whatever, and it's got to be pretty cheap, right? But if you're looking at $90 to $100 a box and you want to rip a couple of boxes with your kids, like it's a pretty pricey evening, right? So I think it'd be nice I'm actually talking about all pricing across the board. It'd be nice if all pricing was down, but
sure.
I mean, really, that's going to be up to the hobby. Like, it's going to be up to the consumer. If we want to accept these prices, well, don't go out and buy it.
So guys, don't buy it right away. Just let's
wait for the sales.
Let's stand together on this one.
Yeah.
No, I looked at the design. I have to admit I wasn't a fan at first, but it's kind of growing on me. And maybe it's just excitement of Top Series 1 coming out, and I just want to rip. It's been a while. I guess the last time we ripped was in your studio, Hyung, when we did the Topps Chrome Light, and that was pretty disappointing.
It was very disappointed.
I feel like
yeah,
I want to get back into it. I want to get a hit.
Hey, you don't have to. You don't have to convince me. I'm there. I will say the paper Independence Day parallel though, like, it's a little disappointing. Like, just the parallels in general. Like, I'm literally looking through it. I'm like, God, why don't they make the full image? Like before, it was the full image. Now it's just the border, right? I really want that full image to have that parallel. So
yeah,
and
yeah.
Chrome
I haven't
gets
seen
that,
the Independence Day, but I'll take a look.
It's a border. It looks like 2020 again, 2021.
Right.
Yeah. But
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's a little disappointing. What I like about it though is I don't know if you guys saw or heard, but the 330, I think it's 300 or 330 card set, each one of them has an image variation this year, not just a few. So each one, and they're calling it golden mirror image variation, and they're all short printed. So I like that. It's kind of cool. You're going to get more image variations. Obviously, that's going to impact some of the values of those cards. So obviously, like, the lesser players, it won't be much anyways. Right. But some of the bigger guys like J-Rod, of course, that's going to command a few $100s at least. But I like that concept of every card in the set having a image variation you could chase. There's a cool subset that I like, All Aces, I believe it's called. Yeah. Just featuring the top pitchers in the league, and it's like it looks like a regular playing card at the back, and at the front you see the photo and whatever I think is a spade or hearts. I don't know if it's different suits of the card, but it's kind of has a hologram effect too, so it looks kind of cool. And I think some of them are even autographed, so that's probably a sticker auto with Top Series 1, right? But still cool nonetheless. Yeah, I think that's, and if you do look at Scotty B Card's video, he does break it down in terms of like the odds of getting a hit is much greater if you get a jumbo box, right? So I saw that. I might have to listen to him, and if I do rip, I might just splurge on the jumbo. but then at the same time, I just saw a couple breaks on YouTube. Dale Murphy autos, like it's not even active players, so you could come up with pretty much nothing. But we joked about this before too. With the hobby box, it's an auto or a relic, and if it's a relic, you skunked out for sure, right? It's not worth anything. So you could take your risk. I took a risk last year with the Tops. I can't remember if it was Series 1 or 2, but that's when I got the Ozzie Smith red border number 25 auto.
Sweet card.
So you can get lucky sometimes. But definitely got to rip soon. And we'll call you when we're ready to buy boxes, and we'll rip together, film it, and let people see what we get. All right, let's go on to today's Friday discussion of the day. I wanted to see what you guys are doing as card collectors during this lull period in sports. Where football is done, Super Bowl's over, baseball hasn't started yet. Pitchers and catchers are just reporting now, and we have basketball and hockey. But they're winding down with playoffs just around the corner. So it's this kind of lull period. And I ask because if you're an investor, you look for these periods where there might not be a lot of price action for certain cards because of the lack of meaningful sports action. So you can find deals, hopefully, to flip later on. Or you might just want to pick up a card for your PC that's at lower values now for the same reasons I just mentioned, just this lull period. So, maybe we can give our listeners some ideas of what they can potentially collect during this time when things seem to have slowed down. What kind of cards are you looking to get, and what are you guys doing exactly?
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the market is kind of hot. Not I wouldn't say it's hot, but it's busy. Like there's people that are buying cards out there. That's what I've been noticing. I've been on the hunt lately. And Leon said it before. Remember, Leon? He was on our show. It's like people don't realize it's half the battle is the chase. You know what I mean? That's the fun part, is looking for the deals, or like looking for things that you're honing in on that maybe it's for PC. That's what I love about right now. It's like I catch myself on eBay every day just looking at random stuff, not necessarily from an investment standpoint. Like I said, it's like, there's going to be great opportunities where, maybe there's a raw card that I see that has potential where, I'll take my chances and grade it. Or just in general, like there might be a great opportunity for a short-term play. But like I said, I'm in it, in the long term. I'm big on the market, and I won't turn away a flip, but at the same time, my focus has been going on kind of like, what do I really want in my collection? And as I do that, I start building, cooler cards for the collection. It might not be, valuable in a sense, but it might be rare, where I'm like, this is a pretty cool card. So it's been fun doing that, where, taking the whole mindset off of, what can this be worth like in a couple months. Sure. It's been pretty fun, to be honest. So I'm going to continue to do that, like collect what you love, that whole deal. But if I am looking for, a short-term flip, I'm really catching the hype of kind of like the prospects. I really like the prospects at this time, because there's a spring training hype, obviously. So a lot of people are on the Sotos, the Otanis, the Vlads. I've seen a spike in Vlad prices just recently. So there's always that chase that I think always is fun, because during the off season, it kind of went through a period where like nobody wanted them, and now if February comes, everybody's thinking the same thing. Oh, before spring training, I want to try to sell, right? So, but I like prospects in general on the Bowman Chrome side, because the minor league season starts a little later. You got some of those prospects that are playing big league spring training games that draw initial attention to it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity on the prospecting side of Bowman Chrome, but it's a double-edged sword too at the same time. They are volatile, and it could go to zero as well, so just be aware.
Good point. I like that.
I am, what I think the last time you asked this question, I believe I said I'm trying to enjoy the hobby and chase a couple of PCs, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. I've now shifted gears, and perhaps some of it is Hyung's influence, but I really think it's Grail hunting season. Like we kind of mentioned it in the last 4 or 5 weeks, where it looks like pricing has flatlined like the floor had hit and it's starting to rebound, and there's lots of activity, and a lot of the cards that I kind of wanted, and I was really waiting to really steal. It looks like it's over for a lot of cards, right? So,
Right.
Whether there is another dip coming, whether this isn't the floor and there's more pain to come, I feel like a lot of people at this point are okay. Like in your mind, I am okay to purchase the big card that I always wanted to purchase. Like Clark, you wanted the Bowman, Trout, Auto, etc., etc. Yeah. I'm okay buying it right now. If it takes a bigger dip, 20%, I'm comfortable with that because I'm bullish on it long term. I think a lot of people kind of have that mindset in what they're buying right now. So for me, if I feel like it's the time to move in on some cards that you always wanted and you've been targeting, but in the last 3 to 4 months, because life was happening, because of interest rates, etc., you kind of got scared. You didn't want to spend money. I feel like it's been long enough that people are itching, right? The people who are obsessed about the hobby, if you go 6-8 months without buying anything, there's going to be a time where you're like, okay, that's enough. I got to start buying something, right? So I think it's a bunch of things that are happening where, the uncertainty in the economy is kind of flatlining. So you're not as scared as you were before. You're getting the itch. You weren't buying. You're starting to see some excitement in the hobby again. I'm pretty sure everyone can attest to any, card show that they attended locally or one of the bigger shows. It's super busy, like probably a lot busier than last year. So the excitement seems to be up. So I think now is the time before the cards start to rebound, and maybe it will rebound, maybe it won't, but I'm fully comfortable going after a bigger card or attempting to go after a bigger card right now. So that's where my mind is at.
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I'm in that camp where I haven't bought in a while, and I'm just itching. And then I just bought a Yadi Molina home field advantage last week because I just wanted to buy a card. And it wasn't the greatest deal either. I'm like, oh man, it's kind of going for some reason. Like a lot of home field advantage, like there's a lot that's really, cheap now. The hype's kind of worn out of that, and I still think there's value in this being the first subset in the Topps brand, and but for some reason, Yadi Molina, his cards are not cheap, compared to all the other players. So I picked one up. I just need Wander Franco, and I'm done the Series 2. I've already done Series 1, and I'm about to do the Series 2 with Wander. That'll complete the set, and then I'll have to go on to the update. But
that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So that's to your point. I'm just getting the itch to just buy stuff, and then and also what you said, Hyung, like baseball prospecting. I'm looking like every day. I'm looking for like guys. I'm like, who's going to do well this year? I'm checking like fantasy sports websites too to see what people are saying. So I'm kind of on Bo Bichette. Back on Bo Bichette a little bit. Vladdy too. But to your point, Vladdy is also it's already going up. So I kind of feel like I'm missing the boat on that one. And so I'm looking for like second tier guys that could a little bit higher risk.
We back on Luis Robert or what?
You're reading my mind.
We make fun of that, but I think there's a lot of closet Luis Robert buyers, man.
100%.
Man, I see a lot of Luis Robert moving.
So cheap right now, though, like compared to what it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's people have been waiting 2 years to unload. This is the best opportunity to, including me. No, I'm not moving Luis Robert. I think he'll have a big year, but we'll see. Yeah. It's not a bad hit or miss.
Yeah. No, it's definitely on my radar for sure. But just doing some research. Volpe, he's a little bit expensive, but he's coming down a bit.
Yeah.
I hope Judge kind of takes the spotlight, so Volpe could kind of go under the radar a little bit. But if he's the starting shortstop for the Yankees and he performs well, there's upside there, right?
100%.
So I like it. I like that play, but you got to wait for the right price. But I think you're running out of time for baseball prospect because it's just around the corner.
Right.
So, other ideas, not that I'm necessarily doing this right now, but, I talked about playoff performances coming up for NBA and NHL. You could try to speculate, like, which teams do you think are going to go far? And if you're doing a short-term flip, that might be something to look at now in preparation for the playoffs in the spring, right? So that's an idea. And, baseball might be soon approaching, so it might be a little late to get really good deals. But football, it might be a good time to look at football prices now that everything's done, right? Other than the top tier guys like Mahomes, obviously, and even Burrow, he's kind of really high. But like Herbert, I think he might be good value if you still believe in Herbert's talent. He had an off, season, although his team did relatively well. So yeah, always look for like the sports that just ended, and then you should see some prices go down. So I'm kind of looking at football, although very superficially, because our record on football cards is dismal, right? So abysmal. So yeah, we'll see. And lastly, I like the PC cards. I'm all on board with the Grail hunting this year. We talked about it before earlier this year, and I think at first I thought it would take the whole year to I have a whole year to just wait to pull the trigger on a Grail card.
Me too.
I feel like we have like a few more months before people start to push up the prices. Yeah, I'm getting that vibe as well, because some of the cards I looked at, like even the Steph Curry Bowman Steph Curry rookie card, the white border that I'm kind of interested in. It's still for almost 3K still. Like it was going down from 2K last month, and now it's like 2,900. So I'm like, of course, right? So I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive, and if it dips again, then that's fine. Like you're saying, John, right. I think I got to take that kind of attitude into what I want to buy now. So yeah, I hope that helps. I know some people are looking to buy or itching to buy, and timing is everything in the hobby. And always the thing is you got to look every day if you really want to find those deals, because you never know which ones are going to pop up. Right. And there's been many times where you see a sold auction and I'm like, where was I when I took a break from checking eBay for a week? Yeah. And of course that's when it goes up and it's listed and it sells for a pretty good price. So if you're serious about the hobby, this is a second full-time job, guys. All right. All right. I think that's good for today's Friday episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll have a brand new full-length episode on Tuesday next week. See you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.